In that neighborhood.
I'll call the meeting together. All three commissioners are present. It's properly posted on December 1st, and our prayer and pledge will be led by District 3.
Yep. Today we have with us Mike Philibert, pastor. If you'll come on down and give us a prayer, I'll read your bio as you come up. Pastor Mike came to Heritage in 2012. He grew up down the road in Moore, where he graduated from Moore High School in '79 and married his high school sweetheart, Anna. Mike and Anna have 4 children and several grandchildren. While living in Turkey, Mike and Anna became Christians and have been involved in churches ever since. It was during his military career that he and Anna began to realize God was leading Mike to become a Christian pastor. And so after serving 20 years in the U.S. Air Force, he completed his Master of Divinity degree at Reformed Theological Seminary and was ordained in February 2001. Since then, he has completed his Doctor of Ministry degree from Trinity Episcopal School for Ministry. Mike not only enjoys Taekwondo, but he loves to read, and it says read a lot, write books, or write book reviews, camp, hike, bike, garden, do woodworking, and go running. I can agree with all those except for the running. I've got a theory about running, and it's run when only being chased. So please, floor is yours.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So sacred scripture for Christians and Hebrews alike both say, the Lord reigns, let the earth rejoice, let the many coastlands be glad. Clouds and thick darkness are all around him. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of his throne. And so I invite you, if you can, in good conscience, to join with me as I pray to the God and Father of the Lord Jesus Christ. Almighty sovereign God, whose throne is founded upon righteousness and justice, you have placed men and women in positions of authority to lead as your representatives. Therefore, please grant these commissioners your wisdom and your guidance so that liberty, justice, and righteousness for all, for freeborn, foreign-born, and unborn, all wrapped in divine mercy, will rule their deliberations and decisions. Prosper Oklahoma County not only financially, but also with the right amount of rain and showers and with peace. And help the commissioners to see how to provide proper care for those hit with mental troubles. May there be a lessening of crime in our county and harmful conditions and an increase in well-being. Thank you for protecting our county sheriff, our deputies, our firefighters, and our first responders, and be pleased to continue that protection. Preserve and enrich the work and the homes of our county employees. Look kindly upon all details and minutiae that must be covered here this day. And finally, may all discussions, addresses, and interactions here be civil and end in good decisions for the benefit of the people of Oklahoma County. All these requests I ask in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, your Son. Amen. Thank you. Am I supposed to do this?
Do that? Yeah, if you'd
Oh.
to. You're the airport.
Okay. Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor, thank you very much, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of November 29th?
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion for the claims?
I'll move our claims.
Okay. You said second.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're supposed to do an audio too for the record.
So, good hear from the camera.
Okay. Opening of the bids.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is our twice a year highway bid. So we're opening CW 24025-2. The podium doesn't have a whole lot of space. Dub Ross Company. General Materials, Inc. A&A Trucking, Inc. Haskell Lemon Construction. Ellsworth Construction, LLC. Paving Materials, LLC. Silver Star Construction. First Water Contracting, LLC. Brown Transportation. Oklahoma Cement Solutions. Atlas Paving Company. Prairie Dirt Solutions. DeLisi. Ergon Asphalt and Emulsion, Inc. TJ Campbell Construction. Ferguson Waterworks. And Vance Brothers, Inc. And those are your bids.
Thank you, Chantel. I'll move that they be tabulated and returned.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any change to the blanket?
No changes.
I'll move our blanket purchase orders.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any individual consideration on the consent docket? A big whopping 2.
Yeah, I didn't.
I'll move our consent docket.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
District 1.
Item number 8 is an agreement between the county and the city of Del City to do some improvements on Southeast 29th Street from Mansfield to Hampton Avenue. So it's just a regular agreement. I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. And item 9 is an agreement with the town of Lake Aluma. We have been over here quite a bit lately, but this is to expand their entrance off of Northeast 63rd Street. If you've ever turned into Lake Aluma, it can get a little congested if someone is exiting and entering at the same time. So we're going to help them expand that entrance. And I will move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And LaDonna is here, but number 10 is the election of directors for the County Free Fair Association. Is there anything you want to say about it?
Yes, thank you for having me today. On the resolution, on page 2, there was a scripter error, so I would like for you guys to make note of that. Halfway through where it says election for Board of Directors for Oklahoma County Free Fair Association, it should be the election of directors for office number 2 and not office number 1. It wasn't changed, but nothing else has changed besides that.
It's right on the agenda item, though.
Oh, is it?
So,
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
But we'll note that.
Okay. I'll move approval, including LaDonna's correction of the attachment.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
11 is about receiving the state auditor's county treasurer statutory report from July 31st.
I'll move to receive.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 12, I'm putting up here for the board's consideration. There are exactly 4 court service staff members that really ideally need to stay on the campus. The judges would prefer they stay here. Grant said it would be best to function here. And with the vacated space of the DA investigators moving to leadership, there are exactly 4 offices there that are ready-made. Ethernet, phone lines, everything is already installed so that we don't have a challenge with the issues that we've had over at leadership. So it doesn't solve the problem for the rest of the staff, but this takes care of those that are working to get people out of the jail on literally a 7-day-a-week
Yeah.
basis.
Grant, could you tell us which 4 staff would move to the 9th floor? And what are the other staff planning to go remote?
No, we haven't got that far.
Okay.
So the 4 that would be up there, they wouldn't have any in-person meetings or
Okay.
anything like that. So safety-wise up there, there's no issue with the Victim Witness Center.
Okay.
And those people their function throughout the entire day is to get that paperwork worked up and interview people in jail and get those people out of jail as quick as possible. And then that leaves 13 more staff to kind of piece together to see where we can and get those folks. Obviously, ideally, to be on campus here is obviously ideal situation. However, at the same time, that may not be possible. So we're open to doing anything and going anywhere that we can that's best for everybody.
Okay. And I assume that some of this has been discussed in infrastructure or maybe P&G.
We have discussed it minimally
Okay.
in the past, but it didn't go much further than that. Keith and I have been driving around and looking around for a couple months at all the different spaces.
Okay.
But honestly, for the most part, the spaces that we have looked at are taken.
Okay.
Or going to be taken. So.
And do you know which 4 staff, if we approve this, which
Yes,
4 staff
yes,
would move to
exactly.
the 9th floor?
Correct. Yes.
No, which 4?
Oh, it's the 4 folks that work in OR.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Grant, I know that we've discussed, and then the jail is also looking at space for you and has identified space for you. Is that something that's going to work? Because it seems to me that if these individuals were actually able to work the individuals up as they walk through, we're speeding up the process by taking some distance, if nothing else.
Yeah,
out.
we toured the jail space last week or the week before,
Okay.
and it's essentially a common area that's surrounded by 8 smaller office spaces. 3 are available, so the other ones are already taken by other departments or staff, and then the common area would be shared with those folks as well. And we did discuss that part, and that's something we had done in the past. But speaking with jail staff over there and giving the tour of the space, they would still prefer that we do the Polycom interviews. For them, it's quicker and easier and less staff that they may not have at any given time. But for that, we're completely open to going back to doing that as well, whatever's the quickest and best for everybody.
First, I want to be clear that I had checked with Grant to be sure his staff could be split and properly supervised. He said that wasn't going to be an issue. It actually addresses security concerns for these individuals in particular. This is a secured campus, and so they get here very early in the morning and so forth to get started. But it was mainly about not having disruption of services for these particular 4 staff members. And if something else makes sense later, we can always do something later. This is trying to make sure that we secure the operations of what these 4 particularly
I
do.
would assume this is temporary for now to just to keep us going until all the moving and construction can be done everywhere, and then go from there. So again, we're happy to go where we need to be.
I appreciate your flexibility. This just highlights once again the fact that we are bursting at the seams here as this county grows, and this building was built in the late 50s, early 60s. They did not expect for us to be where we're at today,
Right.
or they expected us to expand further. So I appreciate your flexibility in this time. We're going to take care of you.
Sure.
It's going to take a little bit of time.
Absolutely.
with us.
Yeah. And again, we're open to being here or moving off-site, on-site. Obviously, like I mentioned, on-site is the ideal situation. However, at the same time, if that's not possible, we can make, especially we noticed during COVID time, we can make anything work, and we've proven we can do that. So whatever you guys need us to do.
Is Keith here? Okay, I just didn't know if he had any opinions or anything he wanted to add, so, okay. Okay,
He favored this.
okay,
Thought this was a good use of the space, and I think he's off today, but I cleared this with both of them before I brought it before you, just trying to do something to keep this functionality going.
And assuming this is approved, would we be clear to move those 4 folks immediately? Do we need to wait at any particular given time? Is there a date for that, or?
I assume the DAs that were there have moved out.
They're vacated
Okay.
spaces.
Yeah, there's still stuff there that they're moving out. I went and looked at it Friday. So, and then there may be some more space that's right next to those offices. That is.
I walked through it Friday afternoon with Miss Bahana, and they were moving the stuff out of there at that time. And there's some additional space that may or may not, but we just agreed that these 4 offices for sure right now, they're looking for where they may store some of that stuff in those other spots. But there was a place to do your OLEDs.
Perfect.
Okay, no other questions?
I think it's to answer your question, as far as I'm concerned, it would be immediately as soon as the last of their stuff is out of there, if it's not already out of there over the weekend.
Sure. I'll keep an eye on it and keep going up and checking on it and taking a look. And when it's ready, we'll go.
Okay, I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item 13, a lot of times litigation gets brought to the office of the chair just for consideration. So this is just a pass through to bring it to your attention to see if this is something you're interested in doing or not. It's a national lawsuit, and Oklahoma County's been invited to participate, and I believe we have someone here to speak to us about that.
Good morning. My name's William Shinoff. I'm an attorney with the France Law Group out of California. I was in front of you a couple months ago as I represented the county in the Juul vaping litigation. And one thing I wanted to do was make sure that we didn't deal with the issue that we had in Juul, which was the county joining in at the 24th hour. This litigation now has been going on for a year. My firm is in leadership in this litigation representing the public entities. At this time, we currently represent over 800 public entities across the country in this litigation. As a background, we've been investigating this matter since 2021. That's when a whistleblower came out from Meta. Meta is the parent company to Facebook and Instagram. And she advised Congress that Meta, out of all the social media companies, was intentionally addicting children to their platforms, and that they were doing it in a way to make sure that they kept users on their site, because that is their business model. You know, that's how they go and sell advertising, that's how they collect data. But at the same time, when they were going and determining how can we keep especially young children on our platforms, they researched what is the effect of us doing this. And they became very well aware that there was large mental health issues as a result of this. They were seeing an increase in depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and suicide. And even though they were well aware of the harm of their conduct, they continued to do it, and they ramped it up. And so that led us to go and start filing these lawsuits at the beginning of this year. And so the defendants in this case are Meta, TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube. And so our whole case is based on the fact that these companies' intentional conduct of saying that their platforms are not harmful, they're addicting the youth to the platform, and we're now seeing the mental health effects of their conduct. One specific example that we highlight in our case is Instagram. So Instagram is one of Meta's platforms, and what we found is that they're very harmful to young females. Just when you go and enter your profile as anywhere between 12 to 18 years old, you put in your gender. The way their algorithm works is it's suggesting content that they believe that you will like, and that's what they know will keep you on their platform. And so what the studies were showing is that when you put in that information, you are starting to show diet plans, starting to show body imagery of this is ideally what you should look like. And so what the research showed was this is the reason we're seeing an increase in body dysmorphia and eating disorders. Again, companies are well aware of these harms, but they've been doing nothing about it. And there was a monumental block to bringing this case. Legally, these companies, when they've been facing litigation regarding these issues, they've been very successful in defeating it, because Congress back in 1997 created what's called Section 230, which immunizes an internet publisher from liability for third-party content. But what we've been highlighting in our cases, we're not suing them for third-party content, but for their own conduct. Just a month and a half ago, there was a ruling on their motions to dismiss on our case, and those were denied. The court did not find that Section 230 immunized them from liability, and now we are continuing on finally after a year to do discovery against these defendants. About a week after that, as you may have seen in the news, 42 attorney generals sued Meta. Obviously, they were well aware of what the rulings were going on. They probably wanted to see how those rulings went before they brought their case. But what those attorney generals' cases showed was that they've been investigating Meta since 2021. And now we're actually going to be starting to get access to the material that they were able to collect, and to be able to work with the attorney generals in our efforts to bring these claims. So at the end of the day, what our goal is twofold. One is non-monetary. We want change. And the way us as attorneys are able to do that in litigation like this is through injunctive relief. We want greater parental controls. A 5-year-old can get around parental controls on these platforms. They're not strong enough. We want their algorithms changed regarding minors. When you know that putting up pop-up push notifications in the middle of the night is what's keeping kids up, don't do that. We also want to deal with the fact that Meta specifically is a platform where child predators are getting to children, that the suggestion of friends, they need to change that. Very easy fixes that their engineers have shown that they can do, that they've decided not to do because it hurts their bottom line. So we want the change. And then the other part is monetary. they've caused a harm in our communities at this point. We need greater mental health efforts. We need to provide funding for the communities, and so it's both a non-monetary and a monetary part. Two main questions I get regarding this case. One is regarding the time to be involved. Since the county was already involved in the vaping litigation, a lot of the data we already have. So we don't see it as being much more than a few hours of staff time to work with us on answering some questionnaires. The other question's cost. So we're working on this on a contingency fee. So there's no financial risk to the district. If there's no recovery, the county will pay no fees and costs. And we're also doing it at a reduced rate as well on our contingency fee. So with that being said, on to that, see if there was any questions.
I assume that similar to the vaping cases that we've joined, that any funds awarded to us would have to be used directly toward youth mental health or something in that realm.
So actually with the vaping litigation, the funds ended up being unrestricted. So it'll be up to the county and you all to go and make that decision. That's something that's done at the end that will be negotiated of whether the funds are restricted. I know in opioids, they ended up being extremely restricted. So we'll see. But we have experts that can go if there's ever an interest on what best practices will be on use of those funds.
Okay.
That's what I was going to ask, what the restrictions were going to be. What's timeline look like?
So our suggestion would be, we're at a year. We want to avoid, the county got a pretty reduced resolution on vaping because of that timeline. We would recommend joining because we're almost at the year to do it as quick as possible. But the reality is that if the county joins now, that the staff won't have to be, we're just negotiating the questionnaire now. So staff work won't have to be for a few months at this point. But timeline for trial, we're probably looking at, since we're just starting discovery now, probably 2.5 years.
Did the Oklahoma AG join those 42 AGs?
Yes, and so one thing we're very cognizant of, because we saw this happen, I did not handle opioids, but we saw this happen in opioids, is that there was an overlap of claims between the AG and the counties and the cities. In this case, it's not. The AG has filed its own case. He did not file it actually with the 33 other attorney generals. There's 33 attorney generals that did one lawsuit combined. There was 9 others that went and filed independently in their own state. Oklahoma was one of those that filed in your guys' own state, but it's consumer protection law violation. So pretty much fraud claims. So there's no overlap in our claims for our public entities with AG. In fact, we're helping each other at this point.
And have any other Oklahoma counties joined as of today?
Yes, at this point, Rogers, and then there's a number of others that are in discussion.
Anyone care to make a motion?
I will move approval that we officially join the litigation listed in the agenda item.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this next one is the contingency fee.
I'll move approval.
Anything you want to say additional?
Just real quick, what was the percentage, or is it a breakdown?
Yeah.
Is it a rolling?
So the way it works, so normally, for contingency fees, it would normally be 40%, but we've reduced it to 25%.
What, is that flat 25?
Flat 25%.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
District 3.
This is a exciting project we've been working on for a little bit. We're reimbursing Edmond mobile meals for their program. This will actually allow for individuals that receive their meals and we're at home. They're expanding their kitchen because the need has expanded. And then with this ARPA funding, we're actually going to be able to expand into unincorporated Deer Creek and all the way out to Arcadia, encompassing a bunch of individuals that have never been served before. So I'm very excited to do this and participate with the city of Edmond, and really appreciate them with this ARPA funding to take in those people that haven't been taken in before. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hannah?
Good morning. This is an MOU between the Juvenile Bureau and Advising Gen Z. Advising Gen Z is a kind of diversion-like mentorship program for the kids that is remote based. So kids that have transportation issues or that aren't able to participate in a regular traditional mentorship program are able to use this. We actually were able to participate in their pilot in 2020. And when the pilot ended and they asked for renewal, we weren't in a place at that time where we could do that financially. And so when they were going to start the full program, Gen Z actually reached out to Arnall and asked if they would be willing to sponsor us for a year. And Arnall so graciously has provided that for us. They're actually going to pay the vendor directly. So they've paid for us to have a subscription for a year for this program, and we're really excited to provide that to our kids.
Okay.
Will you all be able to collect any data so at the end of 1 year we can see what the program did?
Yes, absolutely. And we're hoping that before, because Joe had some questions specifically about, what happens if at the end of this year, will we need to fund that going forward, or what does that look like? We're hoping within the next couple months, especially before we go into budget planning, to have a much better picture, because we got a kind of a snapshot with the pilot and we were very impressed, but we'd really like to see how it evolves through the full program. So we'll have a good picture before budget prep time to see if this is something that we'll want to fund in the future, or if this is something that we'll do for the year or look at other options. But absolutely, we'll have a lot more data here in the next couple months.
What'd your snapshot look like? When you did your snapshot, what was the
Our
success
staff
rate?
were very impressed by it. The fact that the kids are able to, we can actually specifically assign certain criteria and curriculum to each juvenile. So, like, if a kid has specific needs in a certain area, we're actually able to kind of curate that for each child's needs. So, my staff was very impressed with it.
Very cool.
And this is for not just kids in detention, but any kid involved.
No, in fact, it's specifically our community-based
Okay.
kids. So it's
Okay.
the kids that are not
That
in
at home.
custody.
They're at home.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner comments, District 1?
I don't have any comments today, but I see we have some.
Yeah, I'm going to
Yes.
call them before executive
Okay.
session.
Okay. No comments.
3.
Last week I got to go tour the diversion hub, talking about data with what we just approved. The diversion hub is a very data intensive, data driven group that is results oriented. And I appreciate the fact that the things that they're doing to help us reduce the population inside the jail. But, and then thanks for your support for the money for the ARPA money for the mobile meals. That's going to be a tremendous help for everybody. So,
Any new business? If not, we have some guests who'd like to speak to us. I thought we'd do that before executive session in case they don't want to wait. Jess Eddy?
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you. I'm here to address the reemergence of the proposal or the potential for the jail site to be placed in the Northeast community. This has been something that continually reemerges. And I have to say, in my 10 years of advocating for that community, I have not come across a issue that invokes such an immediate and visceral negative response as this one across the community. And I found that that's been somewhat difficult to understand across the communities in this city as to why that is. And so I wanted to spend my time sharing what's been communicated to me from the Northeast Oklahoma City, both from leadership and people who are just, residents, that it is a slap in the face is an understatement. I'll say that city too, that part of the city as well seeks economic revival, economic investment, safe neighborhoods, safe communities. And we all know while we want a jail that is a healthy, beneficial facility that serves its residents, that is at this time in our society an institution that involves risk, and is more than anything else a strong detractor from economic investment, from residential investment. It will reduce property prices in an area in an area that has for 100 years been intentionally disinvested in, intentionally economically injured and harmed. Um, and that's it's unacceptable. It's just unacceptable to add insult to injury while this important community and these important people are struggling to grow their community and their economy, to saddle them with a albatross like this is entirely unacceptable. And I think that all of you understand this. I do, and I appreciate your willingness to have conversations about this. And I get that we don't want to demonize a jail any further than we do in society, and we don't want to say that everyone that goes to jail is dangerous. And believe me, the Black community is more aware of that than any of us, because it's mostly them who've been put in there. So I think we just need to understand that this is a no-go, and that I really think there are some good options that have been suggested and put across that we should pursue. And I myself personally, and I think many others would be strong supporters of those alternatives. Thank you.
Councilwoman Nice.
First of all, good morning to each and every one of you. I wanted to share the sentiments that were just expressed by Mr. Eddy, but also from our city perspective, I would like to ask you to continue to reconsider where the jail currently sits. I was here over the summer, as you may know, because of a different location. And I must say it's anxiety because we have to keep coming back and our community is stressed from having these conversations when again we want to be revived by the things we know our community can be repaired for, as far as educational facilities, as far as being ensured that the prison pipeline system is not sitting right where we can see it, to ensure that our students and young people know, hey, this is where you're going because it sits right across the street from a school. And that's not the type of business that I believe our city nor this county would want to say how we feel about our community within Northeast Oklahoma City. I do understand that there are some difficulties in this conversation as far as the location, but I was here again and saw the plans that showed how this could be placed in the existing location. I understand also that, and we all have seen and expressed and talked through even our city perspective about the Donahue Behavioral Center for those who have and seek mental wellness. So there are ways that we can say we are one who put criminal justice at the forefront, but what does criminal justice look like? It does not look like building a bigger jail. It looks like continuing to rehabilitate those who need it the most in the places where it can. It does look like how we can look at some of our VOTEX and our places where our folks who can be better in society can have that type of ways that reduce recidivism. So I again implore you to please do not continue to put our community at a stress level that we already have pertaining to a location of a jail site. And for even our commissioner, this is the unfortunate part. Even if you vote no, you are still responsible for this jail being in our community. So that's the difficulty again of what this looks like. And again, there are ways for us to all work together to ensure, and even for our city. Again, I understand there was a meeting and our city manager advised you all or whoever that committee was that politically this is not a good look for our community as far as this jail being a location on Northeast 10th and I-35. So I ask again that you reconsider this location. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Representative Lowe.
First of all, good morning. It's great to be here. I would like to officially adopt Councilwoman's arguments about the relocation of the jail. I have seen firsthand that we can build a jail at the current location based on the fact I've seen it as far as the Oklahoma City Police Department. It was built basically on the same at the same location. Also, the court as well, the Oklahoma City Municipal Court, build at the same existing location. So I implore all of you, this jail does not need to be built on or in Northeast Oklahoma City. I have received so many phone calls from my constituents that are very concerned. And obviously, you guys never see me here. This is probably the first time I've spoken before you. And this is just such an important issue for my community. So that's why I'm here to ask you to reconsider the location of Northeast Oklahoma City. And I ask that you really take a look at the current location. It has been done, it's worked. Why can't we move forward with that? So once again, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Representative.
Kevin Maxwell.
Good morning to everyone. My name's Kevin Maxwell. I'm a third generation lifetime Northeast Oklahoma City resident. My grandparents and my parents have property less than a mile from this jail location. My wife and I have a home less than 2 miles from this location. I grew up in Northeast Oklahoma City, been there all my life, know it like the back of my hand, spent a lot of time in this particular area growing up as a kid. Douglas High School there, of course, and then the new Willa Johnson Center, also Edwards Park, which is less than a mile from this location where children have events and football and recreational leagues daily. It's very, very concerning and very, very disappointing to me that my community is being considered for such a location as the county jail. Raise your hand if you're a resident of Northeast Oklahoma City. Raise your hand if you want a jail in your backyard. It's obvious. No one wants a jail in their backyard, including the commissioners. So if you don't want it in your backyard, we don't want it in ours. And the harsh reality is that I was raised as if it's not something you don't want, then don't give it to somebody else. Okay, and that's exactly how I feel about this. I'm very passionate about Northeast Oklahoma City. It raised me. Put me through college, put me through grad school. I'm retired now. That's a result of my upbringing in Northeast Oklahoma City. We need things of value in Oklahoma City, not reminders of what will happen to you when something goes wrong. We all make mistakes. We've all been one mistake away from being in a bad situation. And we understand we do need a new jail, a jail that serves, community for rehabilitation type purposes. But to think that the neighborhood that I grew up in, the neighborhood that I still live in, is being considered basically as a dumping ground for something that no other community wants is very, very disappointing. I speak from the heart. I speak with respect, honesty, and compassion. And I just ask that you reconsider this location, as it would not only break my heart, but a lot of residents of Northeast Oklahoma City's heart would be broken if we had to take on this task of having a jail in our community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, sir.
Any others? You ready to speak?
Yeah, oh, yeah, sure. My goodness, thank you, sir. My illustrious guest. Thank you, sir, for this opportunity. I had to fly almost for toasted. Well, now, everyone. Isn't this a lovely occasion for us? Here we are, talking about building a new jail. Talking about spending billions of dollars. Billions, because me, that's just the start off point. Now we're trying to decide what is the best situation to fit the occasion for some of us, because all of us are not going to be appreciative of why or when the decision is finally reached. But let me say to you, no matter where you put it, it's not going to correct the injustices, the deaths, the mayhem and madness that's going on behind what I call the house of horror. Today, the people need clear representation, no matter what community you put them in, but you shouldn't put them around schools and things of that nature, where families have to walk their children every day here and there. Now, where we're going to put this jail, it's anyone's guess. But I say to you, why don't we leave that doggone jail where the hell it is? Why don't we put the real monies into it and rebuild it up to where it's supposed to be? Because everybody knows that sustainability is what we're talking about here. Now, you're already putting millions of dollars already, aren't we, into the situation there? Why continue to put the money there if we don't intend to leave it there? Millions of dollars. I'm a community activist and has been and will continue to be for the rest of my life until everybody knows that we mean business. And let me tell y'all one thing to take these glasses off. I tend to file a lawsuit on the county of Oklahoma if, in fact, the jail is moved to another location. Why? Because there is money being spent needlessly, millions of dollars. Not one time are we talking about a conversation where people are dying of fentanyl daily here and being sent to hospitals because of this stuff that's being allowed to be coming in through the staff that's working there. Watch it, Michael. One of us is going to talk about truth here. Let me say this here. We need to be very, very careful on what our decisions are. You people have the finalization of what's going on. Put it into a place. I can't say where to put it. I don't know where to put it. Where it should be put. But I tell you like this here. Society in and of itself deserves to have a place of common decency, a place where a person can be sent to jail and come out and feel that they paid a debt to society, and not be killed, and not know that they're going to be exposed to judge, jury, and jailers while they're in jail. Let me say to you in closing, I will file a lawsuit on the Oklahoma County officials and staff, including the county. Why? Because this is nothing but a farce and waste of taxpayers' dollars. It is not really intended to provide a better, accessible, or livable conditions for people those incarcerated. Let's talk about that first. Leave the jail where it is. You already put millions in it. Fix it up. And let me say to everyone, thank y'all for listening to Michael. I will be back. And sir, thank you for allowing me this moment to speak. Thank you.
Any other citizens to speak before we go into executive session? Is there a motion?
I'll move we enter into executive session.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to return to regular session?
I'll move we return.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Discussion on item, well, first off, is there any new business?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Discussion on item 18. Anybody care to make a comment?
I think the biggest comment would be the clarification of some of the things that were reported inside the press this weekend. We will not be closing the stockyards. We will not be asking the stockyards to close down one of the largest cattle operations in the country. It's unfortunate that that was reported as such, and I hope people understand that we would not, as commissioners, directly impact a multi-billion-dollar industry to the state of Oklahoma. So that is not one of the things that we are looking at. There is land in that area that we are looking at, and I appreciate everybody continuing to work on this. It is a very difficult thing, as it's been stated. Nobody wants a jail in their backyard. We do have to make this difficult decision, and it is coming. Please bear with us just a little bit more.
And as an update on the site at the airport, that we put an offer on, 6 weeks ago, maybe? We still have not heard any official word from the FAA, and that is what we are waiting on. We are being told it is coming, some type of official communication from the FAA, and we have not received that yet. So we are still waiting on that site.
And I would add that we are engaging with both citizens who have offered submissions. Those will have to go through a formal submission process if they're wanting to be considered with. I've been forwarding those on, so I appreciate the citizens in the community trying to offer their own land and trying to help us with the solution. None of those were on our agenda for consideration today, and it'll be up to them to see if they follow up with staff to decide to formally submit their properties. But there have been a number of inquiries over the weekend, and we've been in discussions with the city about where potential sites could be zoned, what the likelihood of being able to get it appropriately zoned. So it's a multifaceted problem. There's lots of complications that go into every consideration. It's not just what appears on the naked eye. You have to be worried about environmental, where infrastructure exists in the nearby vicinity to tie in to adequately support the utilities. And the cost of obviously the land is an issue, but also the cost of any of those issues are a factor because they add to the sum total. So it's not just like there's a adequate piece of property over here on this part of town and it's large enough size and it seems to be affordable on the listing. That isn't necessarily all entailed. It goes into more complications than that. And I appreciate, and I want to say publicly, my big thanks to our citizen chairman, Steve Mason, who's been working diligently through this painful process. He has taken in every factor, perception, consideration, concern from anybody in the public. He's listened to them. He's heard what they're saying. And his colleagues that serve with him on that, and they're working with our team here in the engineering office. And I appreciate everybody's patience because this has gone on much longer than we thought, and it's been much more difficult than I think anybody anticipated that's been involved, but we're trying to do this and make it right. So any other thing we can think of? All right. Is there a motion, I think maybe needed on this?
Maybe no action.
Okay. And any other citizens wishing to speak at this point? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move we adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll call the Public Buildings Authority meeting together. Commissioner Davidson and Brian Mon are present. Notice of the meeting was properly posted on December 1st.
Motion to approve minutes? Oh, there he is.
Okay. Joe Blau setting in for Commissioner Blumert. All right. Do you need to adjust the computer? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any citizens to speak before the PBA? Any board comments? Any new business? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.